So I was just thinking about something today, and I think that this is super, super important, and it's something that I really think somebody needs to hear, and I really want to share with you because I definitely need to hear it today. And what that is a statement: it is okay not to be okay. You guys know I've tried to be very open and honest about my struggle and my recovery with anxiety here on the channel, and I mean I've struggled with it for years, and I've been getting better a lot actually over the past year and a half, like tremendous differences. And something that I forget often and I was just reminded of it myself today is that it's okay not to be okay. Sometimes we just have off days and we don't feel good, or we feel anxious, and I know for myself I'm like, I don't know why. And the truth is, I was thinking about it, it's like, well, how come sometimes, right, when we're around somebody, we can encounter triggers sometimes and it'd be totally fine, and then other times we don't even encounter a trigger and we just have an off day and it's just not feeling good. I was thinking about it, and it's like I kind of had this thought, and I'm like, you know what? How come sometimes when we're around a sick person, they have a cold or something like that, sometimes we don't get anything, we're totally fine, and then other times, completely out of the blue, we get sick out of something and we don't even know like where we got it from, right? Like we don't know who is sick, we weren't around anybody. It's like, well, why, where did this come from? We don't know the answer to. And I feel like mental quote unquote stuff can be like that too. It's like, it's sometimes we obviously know sometimes like a trigger, something that we experience, and okay, it triggered it, whatever. It's like catching a cold from your best friend or your wife or your husband or something like that. Other times it's like, I don't know where it came from, it just kind of came out of nowhere, and sometimes it stuck around kind of thing. And I think that sometimes this is the kicker for me. What really meant a lot to me, and I think it's something important to share, is the idea that just because you have an off day, you're not okay for a day, does not mean, or even if it's a day or two, or a couple days, or 2 days in a month, or something like that. Whatever the case, even if it's 3 days in a week, whatever the case is, like you don't look on the specifics. Get the general gist, because that's another trigger of I think at least myself. I don't know about people in general with a struggle with anxiety, but like I personally, I take things verbatim with that, and it's like, whoa, I struggled, 7 days instead of 5 days. It's like, like now it doesn't apply, but that's not the case. The point, just because you may struggle or something like that on your road to recovery, and it's one thing if you're not recovering, then that's a different situation. Then, maybe consider seeking help in whatever way that may be for you. There's plenty of options out there. But the point of the story is that sometimes I think for myself is that sometimes when I have an off day or a couple of off days, in a row or something like that, I think the worst. Just like sometimes it's like what we do when we have a headache, it's like, oh my gosh, I had a really bad headache, like we have the thought like, do I have brain cancer kind of thing? And it's like, why do we go to that extreme, and it's like 99.999% of the times that I've had a really bad headache and will ever have a really bad headache, and 99% of the people will never ever ever get brain cancer that get a headache, and it's like, we automatically go there. And it's kind of similar with this. It's in the sense of like, we have to train ourselves not to go there, in the sense of, just because you have a headache or just because you have anxiety, being the headache in this situation, does not mean that you're getting worse, does not mean that it's anything, because I've been getting better. I've been getting really, really better. And just because I had a couple off days this month, starting on the 4th of July, and then it stuck around for a little, and then it got a little better, and then, but I've been focusing on it because I had that really off day, and then I had an off day today, and like, just because of that, now I'm like, oh my gosh, am I getting worse? Am I reverting? Meanwhile, I've had so much progress that it's like, I automatically go to the, do I need other help? Do I need to get blah, 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 blah. And I start running all these processes, the brain cancer thoughts, you know what I mean? Kind of like, you see the comparison? Where it's just like, no, it's okay. It's okay to get a cold, just because you get a cold does not mean you're dying of cancer, or just because you get have an off day does not mean you're reverting, or things are getting worse, or you're going to need things way down the line. And I don't know, that really spoke to me. It's like, just like we do with the headaches, don't do it, or we're not supposed to do it with the headaches, or like, just because you have a headache doesn't mean you have brain cancer. Just because you have an off day does not mean you're reverting. You can still be getting better and have an off day. You can still be getting better and have an off day. Someone needed to hear that. I needed to hear that. That also applies outside of just like physical health and mental health. That applies to a lot of things though too. We have off days in relationships. We have off days, between me and Jamie. We have an off day sometimes. I have off days at the gym where like one day I'm like cranking at the gym, and the next I'm like, I can barely get the speed on the treadmill past like 3. You know what I mean? Like, we have off days. I have off days in the office where like some days I'm like, I write and record a whole song in 3 hours and release it, and then other days it takes me, I can barely, stop scrolling on TikTok, and I don't have any desire to work. You're allowed to have an off day. You're allowed to not be okay. It doesn't mean anything worse, and stop overthinking it, and you'll know, and I pray that I know, but you'll know if it's something worse. You'll know. But stop, because what I do personally is I worry about it being something worse, which makes it even worse in the moment. It could just be a headache, you know what I mean? Or it could just be an anxious day, an off day. But because I'm so worried about it being, something worse, that's perpetuating the anxiety or the headache, or you know what I mean? We're focusing on it so much more. So you're allowed to have an off day. It's okay. Give yourself a break. It's okay.
And I know things always fall into place. And I know I need to give myself grace.